I left my job. I was done. Done. I think I'm going through an awakening. Pretty sure I'm going through a spiritual awakening. So if you're going through that, stick around because maybe you can relate or just, have some clarification on what you're going through or just something resonates with you and, you know, maybe sharing my experience, you'll feel not so alone because I know I felt extremely alone during this process. I wrote down some stuff, so I'm just might be looking over here so I can stay on point because I'm literally all over the place. By the way, I'm Christy. Nice to meet you. I'm glad that you're here. This is a lonely journey. I've been going through my spiritual awakening for about 5 years now. So I'm kind of on the um, on the part of where I'm sharing my journey because I feel like I've gotten to that point, and that's where my heart is being led to do. I have went from basically a career job to losing everything because I left a career job and I needed my inner peace back. So I took time off and found myself looking at tarot cards and um, learning more about the universe, learning more about myself, learning to pay attention to my intuition, um, getting to spend time with my son, which I never saw before because my career job basically kept me at my career 24/7. I was checked out. I was crying daily to go into work. Um, I guess I just kind of jump right into it. That's how I am. So I'll back up a little bit. So I was a pharmacy technician supervisor. This was April of 2020 when me leaving my career job. I had about 50 employees that I was managing, and I was a pharmacy technician for about 20 years before doing that. I was in retail, working at like Safeway, and then I worked my way up to hospital, and eventually became the supervisor. I took the position because I had a problem with um, speaking up because I was so shy, and I kind of never wanted to be seen. But then I was like, I needed to step up. People were walking all over me all the time. Um, I was always too sensitive, and I wanted to build myself up. So I was like, well, if I take this position, I'm the manager. I have to like talk to people, and I have to speak up and speak to people and do presentations, and I was trying to conquer those fears. And that's why I took the position because I was already a hard worker, and I got tired of all the managers not doing their job. So I was like, I can do this. I'm basically doing it already. Um, so that's why I took it. I was in the manager position for about 4 years before I left. And when I took the manager position, I took it in, I think I accepted it that March, and then that April or May is when I found out I was expecting, and I didn't know that I was going to be pregnant, having a kid, and my life was going to be completely different. So that was a whole nother journey, and that just added to the stress of everything because you have a kid now, and now I have a boyfriend and moving in together. So all of this was like, whoa. I've always been like one of those people that are, I want to make everyone else happy and besides myself. So being a manager, it's kind of hard to do that because you can't make everybody happy, but I sure the heck tried to, and all of my friends that I was friends with before I took the manager position, of course, they started not liking me anymore. So that, of course, weighs on you because now all your friends are now like your enemies because they're like, you can't be friends with the manager. So, of course, that weighs on you too. But when things started getting really bad, it was like I was crying every single day. That's when I really started realizing, like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I handle the regular, just daily tasks that I normally could do? And then I started seeing, like, certain numbers all the time. Like, I would literally see 1111 multiple times a day. Then it increased to seeing my birthday all the time, all day. And then it increased to seeing this number 831, which means, in the pager days, you used to do 8 letters, 3 words, one meaning, I love you. But it's also my dad's birthday, if you switched around, 813, and he's passed away. So seeing those three numbers multiple times a day, it gets creepy, okay? you start looking into it, like, why am I seeing 1111? Like, what the heck is 1111? Why am I seeing all this? Okay, I've always been into my horoscope, but I've never been into like spirituality. I've never been into like, we all believe in, I mean, I believed in God, but I didn't like, practice it or anything like that. I'm like, is God really real? I don't know. Maybe, who knows, right? But I've always believed there's a higher power of some sort. But I've always looked at my horoscope. I am a typical Sagittarius. I am a free spirit. I'm optimistic and I'm spontaneous. Yes, yes, yes. So I am traveling here, or I am, looking at my horoscope, telling people about my horoscope or something. So that is nothing new, but seeing all these numbers was very new for me. So once I started seeing all of those, I started looking them up, and then that led me to looking at tarot cards. And I was a little creeped out about tarot cards because I was like, "What is this all about?" But that gave me peace of mind when I started doing the tarot cards for Sagittarius. And then I started looking into like, oh, I have a sun, moon, and rising sign. So I looked all of that stuff up. And then I started finding certain tarot card readers that I really enjoyed. And then I started looking at psychics. So I went all down that whole route, and I was involved in it. I started learning how to do meditation. I need to practice that more, but and I didn't know that there's a certain way that you're supposed to be breathing. I learned all about that. Still need to practice that more. But then I started being out in nature more because they kept saying you need to ground yourself. I'm like, what is grounding? So then I learned about grounding. I saw red birds literally everywhere. That was getting creepy too. I started seeing some bluebirds here and there, and even some yellow birds, but I would always see red birds. There was a red bird all the time. At my sister's house, we would sit outside, my son would be playing, and I'm like, why is there a red bird right there? Or I just started noticing them everywhere. It was weird, very weird. So just taking all that into account, that's kind of what I was going through. Plus I was not able to see my son because I was constantly at work all the time. And then of course when 2020 hit, and it's April, and we're getting, all these things are happening in the world, and they're expecting me more and more to be that work. And I'm like, I'm going through all my own stuff here, and I can't even function. So I ended up applying to step down to another position that was just a regular technician job, was not a supervisor position, but it was going to be at, I know this sounds crazy, it was going to be at a mental hospital, like for people that needed help with psychiatric stuff. I was like, I'm about to be a patient over there if I ain't getting ready, if I ain't fixing myself here. But I was gonna take that position. I applied for it. I got the position, but because of everything happening, they couldn't tell me when the hospital was going to open, so I didn't know when I was going to be starting. And I tried to wait it out, a week or so, and then I got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this. My mental was so bad at that time that I had to tell them I couldn't even. I said, I don't even want to take the position. I'm leaving the hospital completely. And I was like, I know as a manager I'm supposed to give a month's notice. I was like, I can't even do that. I said, I'm going to give you 2 weeks, but I don't even know if that's going to happen. So yeah, that lasted a week. After a week, I was done. I had to worry about my mental and my self-care, and I finally was choosing myself. And this is not even touching on what I had to deal with a couple months prior, because I had left my baby daddy because I was done dealing with a narcissistic man. And yeah, well, that will be another video because that's a lot.